Alright guys, welcome to Handheld Hangout. I'm Paul. So I recently bought this Game Boy Advance on eBay. I think I paid about £50 for it. When it came through I was very happy with the condition of the box. You can see here like it's got a bit of wear and tear, but actually like the structure of it's still pretty good. Opening it up, found it still had all the leaflets and stuff like that inside it, and the Game Boy itself was actually in pretty good condition. You can see a few scratches on the screen here, but nothing to worry about. Pretty clean. Could do with a little like once over with some IPA, but other than that, I was really happy with the condition of it. So I'm going to open it up, put some batteries in, chuck a game in the back and see what it's like when it powers on. Okay, so it powers on fine. What I did find was actually the start and select buttons are unresponsive. Should be a pretty easy fix though, so let's have a look. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove my battery so there's no power going to the device, and put my game over somewhere safe. We're then going to remove the screws in the back. In the back of the Game Boy you have two kinds of screws, so you'll see you've got 4 in the main like bulgy part of the back and 2 at the top. They're going to use tri-wing screws, and then you can have a little sneaky other one which I'll point out in a minute, which is just a normal Phillips head one. See here, this is that little Phillips one I was talking about, little cheeky one hiding in the battery compartment. Okay, cool. So now those are removed, we can carefully remove the back, and this is what the board of a Game Boy Advance looks like inside. Next thing we're going to do is remove the ribbon that's attached to the board from the screen. So we're carefully going to lift up these little tabs here. So it can be kind of sticky, like try not to be as rough as I was there if you can. And then after that we're just going to carefully pull that ribbon out once those little tabs are up. Okay, so once that's done you'll see there's 3 more Phillips screws in the back of the board. You want to carefully remove these before trying to detach the front of the Game Boy case from the motherboard. Now with that done, we're going to start removing the switches and plastic pieces. So there goes the power switch. We're going to remove the shoulder buttons. Just put them somewhere out of the way safe. And then we're going to remove these plastic bumpers from the side. Okay, cool. We can now safely lift the board completely out of the shell. Okay, cool. So there it is. So that's the back of it where the cartridge would be inserted. And on this side we've got the front. Okay, cool. We're going to pull out the silicone. Okay, cool. So this looks to be the culprit. If you look at the silicone in this video, you can see the contacts on the back of it. These little black circles. You can see the one that sits at the top and where the start button would align. It's a little bit damaged. You can see it's marked. I think we're going to replace the silicone here. If you look at the board here, you can see the various buttons that align with the board. You see we've got the start and select button, the up, down, left, right, and then on the other side we've got the B and A buttons. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take some of this IPA. This is a 99% IPA, and we're just going to give the contacts on the board just a little clean up. Like, I don't think they're the issue after seeing the silicone, but whilst we're here we might as well give them a little polish up. This stuff smells really strong and I don't think it's very good for you, so make sure you do it in a ventilated place because you're probably going to give yourself a headache if nothing else. And then we're just going to start polishing the start and select buttons. And move on to the D-pads. And then finally the A button and the B button. Okay, cool. So I've got this replacement pack of silicone that luckily I had in my drawer ready to go. We're going to pop in the start and select button first. We're just going to squeeze that one in. That one's pretty easy because there's only one way around it can go. And then for the D-pad, you've got these rings on the side of the silicone that you're going to want to line up with these pegs inside of the shell. So we're going to line that up and we're just going to put it on top of the plastic buttons resting underneath. Okay, and then a similar thing with the A and B buttons as well. The buttons are already resting in the case, so we're just going to lay the silicone on top in the right way around and just press that down. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is carefully move the ribbon for the screen out of the way and then just drop that board back into place in the case. And we're going to take our screws from earlier, screw the board back in. This is the Phillips screw, so get your Phillips head screwdriver out. So there's 3 of those, make sure not to miss one. And then we're just going to tuck that ribbon back in carefully. And use our little plastic pointer to press down the tabs to hold it in place. Okay, I'm going to put our little plastic pieces back in place. So there's the bumpers, the power switch, and finally our shoulder buttons. These are a bit weird to sit in, so maybe just give them a little press, just make sure they're set in the right spot. There we go. Firmly but carefully place the back of the case back on. And there we go, that's our shell back together again. Just do a quick check, make sure your buttons are functional, they haven't got stuck or anything since we messed around with the shell. These all feel fine. So what we're going to do now is replace the screws we took out the back of the shell. So these are the tri-wing screws that we've got 6 of. Don't forget those top ones. Occasionally I forget those top ones because they're kind of set at the back. Make sure you get those in. And then just this little guy left in the battery compartment. So we're going to take our Phillips head screwdriver and we're just going to pop that guy back in. All right, put the batteries back in. Get the cover on. Grab our copy of Pokemon, and fingers crossed. All right, amazing. A little bit of a delay there, maybe panic, but yeah, this is working fine. So cool, everything's functional. I can now get in and play a bit of Pokemon Fiery Red. If you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to give me a follow or a like or something. It'd be deeply appreciated.